Hi, this is Yaxin from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Today, I will present our paper, Polite or Direct, Conversation Design of a Smart Display for Older Adults based on politeness theory. My collaborators are Yuxiao, Adam Mawis, and Bilge Mutlu. With the population of older adults growing worldwide, voice activity devices have been widely deployed to improve their quality of life. Those devices are particularly promising to address older users' motor, vision, and cognitive challenges. However, dialogue-based interactions can be burdensome, and they require constant attention to progress the interaction. This can be particularly challenging for older adults. To address those challenges, our approach is to use politeness strategies in the conversation design of those voice interfaces. In practice, we apply the linguistic politeness strategies in a voice-activated health intervention system. We'll talk about our approach in more details in the following 4 sections: conversation design, system evaluation, findings, and design implications. First, for the conversation design, we start with identifying the repeated speech acts of the system's prompts. One example for the speech act request is that tell me a rating from 1 to 5 when the system asks users to rate their health conditions. Another example is suggest, saying that let's begin the lesson now when the user enters the learning module. In total, we identified 7 common speech acts: request, comment, farewell, welcome, suggest, repair, and instruct. Then we analyze the face needs of each speech act to help us select politeness strategies. For instance, the face needs of request is to minimize the impositions of the request, and the face needs for suggest is to protect users' freedom of choices, minimize the impositions, as well as show care for the user and be willing to help. We selected politeness strategies based on face needs for each speech act. Then we conducted a formative study to finalize the strategies. In this study, each participant rated their perception of the system prompt's directness, positive politeness, and negative politeness. Based on the study results, we built 2 systems. The polite system uses positive and negative politeness strategies, and the direct system uses the bottom record strategy. Here is an example to compare the 2 systems. For the speech act welcome, the polite system would say, I'm here to help you manage your health. This prompt used the positive politeness strategy, assume or assert reciprocity. On the other hand, the direct system would simply say welcome. Other examples of using politeness strategies include the use of let's when giving a suggestion and using could you when making a request. We further conducted a user study to evaluate people's experience with the 2 systems. For the field study, we recruited 15 participants who are aged 60 and above. The system was deployed in their homes for 10 days. We randomized the participants into 2 groups. During the first 5 days, Group 1 used the direct system and Group 2 used the polite system. In the second 5 days, Group 1 used the polite system and Group 2 used the direct system. On day 1 of the system onboarding, we performed system installation and user training. On day 5, we asked server questions and conducted semi-structured interviews with participants. We also notified participants of the system change on day 5. On day 10, we asked the same questions as on day 5 and uninstalled the system. We perform both qualitative and quantitative measurements. Qualitative measures come from the user interviews on day 5 and day 10. Quantitative measures have 2 parts. First, the questionnaire on day 5 and day 10 asks about the perceived system politeness, the experience of system failures, and the participants' overall satisfaction. Second, the system log includes the interaction duration, task completion rate, and usage of the voice interface and touchscreen. Based on our findings, we concluded 4 user personas. The first persona is socially oriented follower. They have a positive view towards the overall polite system while preferring linguistic politeness than directness. They view the system as human-like and describe the system as a friend or someone who cares about you. They tend to have a passive interaction mode and always follow the system's guidance. They also focus on the conversational experience of using the system rather than functional goal. And they preferred voice interface than touchscreen, describing that voice interface is more relaxing. The second persona, utility-oriented follower. They have a positive view towards the overall polite system, while have a mixed views on linguistic politeness. They view the system as human-like and described it as a professional or a teacher or someone who is knowledgeable. They also tend to follow the system's guidance and have a passive interaction mode. Different from Persona 1, they have a functional goal of system usage, such as getting answers for questions. And then they have mixed preferences towards modalities. The third persona, socially oriented leader. They have a positive view towards the overall polite system and have mixed views on linguistic politeness. They view the system as machine and described it using words such as AI, robot, device, and then they prefer to lead the interaction rather than being guided by the system. They have functional goal in using the system, often is to fulfill the study requirement. And lastly, they have mixed preferences towards modalities. The fourth persona, utility-oriented leader. They have a neutral view towards the overall polite system and prefer linguistic directness to politeness. They describe the system as a machine and prefer to interact with the system proactively rather than being guided by it. They have functional goal of using the system, mostly related to tasks or the study requirements. And they prefer to use touchscreen to voice interfaces, saying that they use touchscreen whenever they can. Based on our findings, we proposed personalized design strategies for the interaction on the smart display. Another design implication is that we explore the design space for polite conversational interfaces. We observe the three factors that affect people's perceived politeness of the system: linguistic politeness strategy, vocal features, and interaction pace. Therefore, we suggest that future design could consider those factors in designing a polite conversational interface. Thank you for your time in listening. Please check our paper for more details. You can contact us through the email here if you have further questions.